Oh, buddy, it's the Hoffman Show on a Wednesday here on the Team 980. What's up? What's happening? How are we doing? Happy hump day. All kinds of news. What a weird day, Anthony. There's a million things happening. We're just kind of floating in late May sports land where we wake up every morning and we don't know what's going to be ahead of us. And we as news breaks and things happen, we put it in a rundown. We try to order it in something that makes sense. And then but 4 o'clock hits. We hope Russell's done talking because today, 4:04:30, Anthony, that we get our show started. 4:04:30 today.
Yeah, I know, man.
It's all right. It's all right. Chris Russell Show, not constrained by a clock. Really, Chris Russell, not constrained by anything. Anyone. Anytime. Anywhere. The point is, 4 o'clock comes, we're ready, and here we go. Anthony, we should have known the Tush Push would not be stopped because the Tush Push is never stopped.
They were close, though.
They were close. How's that go for you?
You don't get anywhere.
First down, Philadelphia. Oh, dang it. I kind of wore a green shirt today. That was not I just realized that. As I pointed first down and I looked at the color of my own shirt, this is not an Eagles shirt. I don't have any Eagles shirts. I'm not an Eagles fan. I just like the color green. Been told it makes my eyes look good. So that's why I'm wearing a green shirt. First down, Philadelphia. Or touchdown, Philadelphia. And you are resorted once again, if you are an opposing team, to put, the prioritization of your game plan on not being in third and short, not being in fourth and short. And if you are and you're facing Philadelphia, you're probably going to lose. And I think that's ultimately the reason why the Tush Push gets banned. There is very interesting day of deliberations this morning. Seth Wickersham wrote a piece for ESPN that highlighted kind of a shouting match that ultimately went down between Jeffrey Lurie, the Eagles owner, and Troy Vincent and Roger Goodell, and Lurie chastising Vincent and Goodell. Vincent works in the very high up. I think he's the executive vice president of the NFL, and obviously Goodell, the commissioner, for trying to push the ban. He said he had a long conversation with Alan Sills, who is the NFL's chief medical officer, about it, and there's no inherent health risk. And he used an off-color analogy to compare a dream. We'll just put it that way: a dream to create a play that's so unstoppable that the only way to stop it is to ban it. And basically chastised other owners, saying, "You can't stop us, so now you're going to use this power," instead of manning up and actually just doing what you need to do. And this impassioned speech went on for like an hour. I don't understand how you talk for an hour about the Tush Push, but Jeffrey Lurie did. At some point, Jed York, the San Francisco 49ers owner, was like, "How much more bleep do you got to say, man? Like, when are we wrapping up?" Which got a few chuckles in the room. And ultimately Goodell, who, by the way, also got another contract extension, Goodell adjourned the session. And they went to the privilege session, and that's where the vote went down. And they got 22 votes to ban it. They needed 24, and the Tush Push is here to stay. I think, Anthony, if everyone had just been more honest about it, that this thing would have had a better chance to go. Because there's no data that suggests that there is a health risk here. And so the player safety thing is bupkis. It has been bupkis. And the evidence is the multiple years that this has been run by multiple teams, and there is no elevated risk of injury. And in fact, I don't know that there's really been ever any injuries on this compared to a regular quarterback sneak and any of the other plays where people get hurt in football all the freaking time. So you have that. 2, you have people calling it a rugby play. Well, anybody that's actually played rugby is like, no, this is nothing like a rugby scrum. Like, quit calling it a rugby play. Which, on some level, is a semantics argument. But if those are the words you're choosing all the time, you kind of sound like a moron if you just keep repeating something that's wrong all the time. And then people that are in that area that actually have expertise are like, Ixnay, not the Ugby Ray. Like, what are we doing? And I think if people had just gone with the argument that we don't like it, this is not what football is supposed to be. Yes, it's a combat sport in the trenches, whatever, but not like this. And we just, it's a loophole in the rules. Congrats to the Eagles for finding it and exploiting it, but this was never how this game was supposed to be designed, and thus we're outlawing it in the same way that the NBA has had to outlaw certain things, like when Kevin Durant discovered that he could sweep through into defenders' arms who were, I guess allegedly not in a legal guarding position because he was entitled to some amount of space and get foul calls. And the NBA was like, stop doing that. We're not going to reward this anymore. They could just have done that. They could just have said, hey, this is a dumb thing that we're doing. I hate this play. I'm sorry, Eagles. Sorry, Jeffrey Lurie. Sorry, Jalen Hurts. You're great at it, and you'll still probably be great at the quarterback sneak, but you're going to have to quarterback sneak. We're outlawing this thing that you do. But they got too cute times 10, trying to say it was a bunch of other reasons. They got too cute with the wording of the rule and tried to make it generic to make it feel like it wasn't targeting the Eagles. And if they had just been like, yeah, we kind of think this play is stupid and we don't like it, I would have been perfectly fine with it. I kind of support that. And at the end of the day, it failed. And now the Eagles, if I was the Eagles, I would troll so hard on the field. Like if I am Nick Sirianni in week 1 next year and I get to my first 3rd and 1, I'm calling a regular quarterback sneak just to prove to you that you suck and you can't stop us anyway. And then I'm going back to tush pushing my way to probably another great season. That's what I would do. I would troll so hard because people made such a big deal of this and ultimately nothing changed.
Yeah, I will say, were you surprised that the Commanders were not one of the 10 teams that voted, I guess, that did not vote against the ban?
So the Commanders were on the side of banning it.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, I was just cleaning up because I feel like you talked yourself in a circle there. When I read Adam Schefter's tweet, I had to read it 7 times. And eventually I was like, this is the side that include the Eagles. Because it's like, are you voting for the ban? And it's like, that's kind of a double negative. But the Commanders voted for the ban.
Yes.
And I'm not surprised.
Okay.
Why would they not? I know that Dan Quinn and all the football people, well, I guess not all the football people, Frankie Louvu wanted to ban it, but like Dan Quinn as the football messenger, and to the extent that I believe Adam Peters has talked about this, they've been on the same page. They've been on message saying, our job is to stop it. But that doesn't mean that Josh Harris didn't go to them and be like, hey, what happens if you didn't have to do that? And Dan was probably like, that'd be great. Like, why wouldn't we want to weaken one of our opponents? And that's the thing. The funniest voting side of this, though, Anthony, is the AFC East. Of the 10 teams that voted in favor of saving the tush push, there are 3 AFC East teams on it. Who is the second most successful team with the tush push, Anthony?
The Bills.
Which of the 3 AFC East teams voted to save the tush push?
You got the Jets, you got the Dolphins, and you have the Patriots.
Meaning the Bills, because Terry Pagula, their owner, apparently hates the play. He was like, ban this thing. I don't care that we're good at it. And the 3 teams that face the Bills twice a year were like, it's fine. We don't care. And I don't know what all that's about. Maybe that's genuine feelings. But I thought that was even funnier than, anybody in the NFC East.
That is funny. I didn't realize that at first.
Yeah, I was looking at that list a little bit earlier when you sent it to me, and I was like, that's funky. Because I was also trying to find out, like, where did the Cowboys go? Where did the Commanders go? And obviously, the other 2 teams I thought were interesting. The Ravens, who, are going to have to go through the Eagles to win a Super Bowl potentially if they face in the Super Bowl and have had some epic matchups the last couple of years. And the Lions, who are an NFC contender. They both voted to say, hey, we'll take on Philadelphia at their best. We don't care. Bring the tush push on. And so we'll see. Jason Kelsey came in and was like, it's not really that big of a deal. Like, if you just told me I had to tush push again, I'd come back to the NFL. It's all the other stuff that's why I was like, I got to retire. So I just think this thing was handled, like the politics of it. And I don't mean that in like the image. I mean the actual work of politics where you lobby people and you convince people to be on your side. And often you try to figure out what the best message is as opposed to arguing for something on the substance, which is almost always the best message. Just be honest. And I think a lack of being honest by the teams that wanted to see it banned and by Roger Goodell and by whoever else in the league office that was pushing for this, I think that lack of honesty hurt them in the end. If they had just said, it's a dumb play, we don't like it, we don't think it's what NFL football is supposed to be, please ban it, I think they would have probably gotten 24 votes. Instead, they got cute, and they got too cute by half, and the tush push is successful yet again. It's the Hoffman Show. We're on the Team 980. We're always live as well on the free Odyssey app. That's not the only news to come out of the league meetings in Minnesota today. We'll talk about it all with Mike Jones, who's there at 5 o'clock. But next, the Commanders portion of the program that happened in Minnesota. They're going to be on Hard Knocks. We'll give you the details next. It's the Hoffman Show. Hard knock life for the Commanders during the NFL season. The thing is, they're not alone. The NFL announced today that the NFC East will be featured on the in-season edition of Hard Knocks coming up in the fall. Last year, of course, it was the AFC North, and we got to see a really fun kind of playoff battle unfold between the Steelers and the Ravens. The Bengals fight for everything in the end. And then whatever the hell the Browns were was also on the show. The Bills are also going to be featured in Hard Knocks. They get the regular edition, the training camp, into the regular season edition, or I guess the preseason edition, which is always really fun to see the inside workings of one team and how they go about building the roster. And for some teams, I think it's been really great. I think that part of the allure of the Lions and part of their success, frankly, is having the Hard Knocks cameras there a couple years ago, where everyone got to kind of fall in love with Dan Campbell, see what he was really about, see what that team was really about. You got to see how special the players thought it was as they were getting that thing off the ground in Detroit. Last year, I thought it was just quality entertainment and insight, getting to see guys like Tomlin, and you're like, oh, that's why that guy's like that. John Harbaugh, oh, that's why that guy's always so successful. And then, obviously, some teams, it's been terrible. The Giants preseason or offseason edition last year made it so that no one ever did the offseason version again. I think that that didn't happen this year. So that kind of sucks. But it's because, the Joe Shane and Brian Dable and the decision around Saquon, blew up in their face in a way that was actually John Mara's worst nightmare. And even if you think it's the right decision for the Giants, which I still do, hard to say out loud because you sound like kind of a fool if you don't explain yourself. The quick explanation is Saquon Barkley on the Giants is not really that valuable. You can't have your toppings on a Sunday if you don't have a bowl, and the Giants don't have a bowl. But I'm excited for this. As a viewer, as someone who is in this business, I am very excited to watch both the Bills, but I'm very excited to see the inside of the NFC East, Anthony. What are you most excited about for this NFC East in-season edition of the show?
I think I'm going to be looking forward to December. And to be honest, I was one of the people that was complaining that, we had all of these divisional games right before the playoffs, and how how players usually say those divisional games take a lot of toll on the body. So having to endure, 4 back-to-back, divisional games and then go into the playoffs, I thought that was going to be sort of kind of a disadvantage. But at the same token, looking at it from the Hard Knocks perspective, I think everybody's going to be juiced up for every last one of these games just because, one, you have Hard Knocks here, and then also it's a divisional game. So, and I'm expecting the division to be close. I'm expecting Dallas to go out there and do what they do best when they don't have a top 1 or top 2 schedule. They have a 3rd seed schedule this year. So I'm expecting them to go out there and be great. This is what they usually do. And then the Eagles, they're the defending champions, so I think they got a lot riding on that, one to repeat. And then the Commanders, us being in 8 primetime games, I think we deserved it for one. And then also I think, Jaden Daniels and crew, they're going to be ready for the moment. So I think it just sets up for a great December for everybody to be locked in on our division just like we were on the NFC North last year.
Yeah, I mean, if they pick this thing up in post-bye for the Commanders, you have the Broncos on Sunday Night Football. So you're going off the bye into a primetime game. They could pick it up in Madrid, which would be kind of a fun behind-the-scenes, are the Hard Knocks cameras in Madrid. Before that is the Detroit game. Before that is they have that crazy stretch starting in week 6. That's Monday Night Football, Dallas, or Monday Night Football again, Sunday Night Football, Detroit, Madrid. So that's a pretty wild stretch of season there. But you also, as you said, late in the season, you have a lot of things happening there. You have the 2 and 3 weeks against the Eagles. You have the Giants game. You have the Cowboys game. I think for me, generally speaking, though, it's more about what do we get to see? Who are the personalities that we get to see? So, the Commanders portion is going to open with Jaden at 4:30 in the morning pulling into the facility. They always do that with Hard Knocks to some degree. And maybe it's, Jaden and then,
Sam
4:30.
Fortier's probably gonna be out there too.
I mean, if I'm Fortier, I'm finding out what day they're doing it, and I'm going too. Fortier famously, while Cliff was at Texas Tech, did a story and just kept hearing, oh, Cliff's there at 4 a.m., Cliff's there at 4 a.m. And so Sam showed up at 3:56, and sure enough, a couple minutes later, here comes the headlights, and Cliff gets to the front door and goes, "What the hell are you doing here?" He's like, "Heard you show up early." So I'm a reporter. Got to go find out. And walked in the building with Cliff and saw what he did at 4 a.m. So the Hard Knocks cameras, will they be there for Cliff and for, the morning walkthrough that he and Jaden go through and whoever else is there for that, whether it's Luke or Tavita or, whoever else receiver or coach-wise is there. Like, you're going to get some of that. I'm excited to see what Dan Quinn's like in the room because I have a feeling I know what that's like. By the way, he cusses a lot. Like, he cusses a lot for Hard Knocks. He cusses a lot for a football coach. So that'll be fun to get the unfiltered version of Dan. But I just think it's going to be a more cuss-filled version of what he gives us at the podium. Like, that's the thing about Quinn that I think is magical is too strong. But, like, you get what I mean. Quinn is a guy who is extremely consistent with his message. And like Dan, there are other coaches that I've covered where like you ask them something at the podium, they'll give you the right answer, and then you get off the podium and you can get, or like, you get them off to the side during the week or whatever. You get them in a non on the record scenario and they'll give you something a little different. They'll answer the question where they don't really want to answer it. DQ is just going to retell you the same thing he said on the podium. DQ will not give you more info. Because he said what he had to say. There was a reason why he said it. It's on some level calculated, but it's on some level just like he's honest, and that's how he goes about his business. And there's certain things that he doesn't see as our business, which, I mean, it is my business to try to find out. That's what it is to be a journalist. But it's also, if I'm in his shoes, I get it. Like, I respect the fact that he will not tell me certain things. And does it make my job harder? Yes, because I would like, if the more information I have, the more I can understand the way they think, the more informed opinions I can give. But I think that a lot of what they say is just like, yes, there's the technique things or maybe certain schematic coverage things that, Hard Knocks is never going to get. I think the version of DQ that we're going to get in the show is just a more swear words version of the message that he gives the media. He's not a guy that's going to tell us one thing and tell the players something else and feel like he's pulling an okey doke. He comes to the press conference every Wednesday with a message that he wants everybody to know all over Commanders fandom, players, coaches. He's like, this is what we do this week. This is our mindset. This is our mentality. And I think it's going to be the same exact thing that we get at the podium with a lot more swearing. And I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I think also we'll get I think we sort of kind of get a look of the culture that he's already set, on the practice field, but a little behind the scenes look too, I think a little bit more like playfulness and, I'm looking forward to that.
For sure. I'm looking also to like, are there any assistants they hone in on? If any of these guys become hot names for head coaching or OC jobs, is someone like Cliff getting a lot of love? Is Joe Witt Jr. getting a lot of love? Is Tavita Pritchard on down the list of guys? I think that's going to be interesting. And then I think there's other teams in the division that are super interesting as well. We can talk about more of those. Plus, your calls. What do you make of the Commanders being on Hard Knocks? This is the first time they've ever been featured. So, what you think? 301-230-0980. 301-230-0980. Commanders are on Hard Knocks. What are you looking forward to, or what are you scared of? Next on The Hoffman Show. Our telephone number is 301-230-0980. 301-230-0980. It's the Hoffman Show. We're on the Team 980, always live as well on the free Odyssey app. Streaming live on YouTube, too, at the Team 980. So we're talking about Hard Knocks, and the Commanders and their NFC East compatriots will be featured on it. The in-season version, so back half of the year next year through however long it goes. Obviously that could be deep into the playoffs. You kind of assume that one of the NFC East teams will get there. Obviously Philly, the odds-on favorite, but we're all hoping the Commanders get there, except for those of you that are Cowboys fans, and good luck with that. And if you're a Giants fan, well, you're already sad. So what am I going to say that's going to make it worse? But what are we looking forward to about this? 301-230-0980. I would say the team outside of Washington that I'm actually most curious in, Anthony, is Philadelphia. Like, there is a comedic value, and I should say comedic potential with the Giants that is, Jameis and Russ are in the same room with a rookie. The Giants quarterback room could be a clown show. Dable's in there yelling at everyone. Kafka's just like, what the hell happened? We were like hot coaching names a couple years ago. We were thought of as smart people, and now look at us. So, there's a comedic potential to the Giants that is very high that I'm very interested in. But functionally, I want to see what Nick Sirianni's like in front of the room. Because I remember watching Hard Knocks last year in the in-season, and you see Tomlin in front of the room, and you're like, this is why this guy wins all the time. Just like his ability to clearly present a message, present an idea, to get everybody moving, to involve players and ensure that the standard is exactly where they want it. The open lines of communication he has with his coaches, with the veteran players that he trusts, guys like Casey Hayward. Like, it's a pretty special array of leadership skills that Mike Tomlin shows, that even on a show that's as highly edited as Hard Knocks, comes through in spades. Like, Harbaugh's got it, but on a different level. There's other stuff happening in Baltimore. In Pittsburgh, like, their roster is wild. There's all kinds of issues. But, like, ultimately when it comes to getting up in front of a team, there aren't 5 coaches, certainly in the league, if there's even that many, that I'd pick over Mike Tomlin. And I thought that was on display. There's been this ongoing question in Philadelphia. It's like, what does Nick Sirianni actually do? Because he's got great coordinators a couple years ago. They're awesome. They make the Super Bowl. Those coordinators leave for head coaching jobs in Steichen and Gannon. They have a really rough year. Then he hires 2 more awesome coordinators in Fangio and Kellen Moore, and they win the Super Bowl. Now Moore leaves for New Orleans. Like, how involved is he in stuff? Is he a great motivator? Is he kind of a clown up there and they're so talented it doesn't matter? Like, I'm fascinated to see, like, to kind of get the best possible answer we could get to the question, what does Nick Sirianni do? And I'm kind of guessing we're going to be more impressed than we want to be with him, that he's going to have a way about him that I'm like, oh, yeah, that's why this guy's been highly successful, despite the fact that he's guiding, the fastest car in the race, if you will.
So you more so just looking for his, like, coaching style?
His coaching style, the way he motivates, the clarity with which he presents ideas, the interpersonal skills that he shows. Like, what are the little side moments where he pulls guys aside and has conversations? Like, all the stuff that matters from a leadership standpoint as a coach. Like, we don't think of him necessarily as a CEO head coach, because I think a lot of people think of Nick Sirianni as a buffoon. Because of some of the sideline antics, because of some of the stuff that he's done, people think this guy's kind of an idiot who just is maybe not an idiot, but he's a puppet. That Howie Roseman's just back there pulling all the strings, and Sirianni's out there dancing and yelling at people, but ultimately, like, doesn't do a whole lot. And I think what's probably going to happen is you realize why Nick Sirianni has been really successful, because we're going to get some insight into who he is as a man, who he is as a leader, and the way he presents himself to his football club that has allowed them to maximize their incredible talent.
Nah, I feel you. So you're interested in the Eagles. I'm interested in Dallas. I want to see how involved Jerry still is on the day-to-day basis. Also, they have a new head coach in Schottenheimer. So I'm interested to see, how he commands the room and things of that nature. Because if memory serves me correctly, he wasn't, one of was he one of the favorites to land that gig? Like,
I
did they
mean,
do a deep dive in like, I guess like trying to figure out like who their coach?
there was the Dion rumors.
Yeah,
They at first weren't going to move on from McCarthy. Then they were because they wouldn't pay him. And they never really did a coaching search.
yeah,
Like they interviewed enough people, I guess, to satisfy the Rooney rule, but they ultimately just hired him when he was there the whole time, and he would not have gotten an interview probably anywhere
elsewhere
else.
else. Yeah. So I think that's going to be interesting. Like his first season as a whole, but also Dak returns this year. So if he can have more of a bounce back year, and then you got George Pickens down there as well. I don't know. I think there are a lot of personalities in Dallas right now. So I'm interested to see how they even like put that together and try to control it. To be honest.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fascinating. I also think that the Micah Parsons angle is fascinating. Like, he's in a contract situation. So, how that going to go? Are there any negotiations during the season? Do we hear from him at some point where he's like scared that he's going to get hurt? Is there like what happens with Micah? Because it's the biggest story in the league that's just kind of sitting there and there's no news on it, so there's nothing to talk about. But I mean, probably the best defensive player not named Myles Garrett in the sport. But he's 6 years younger than Garrett or something like that. So we're talking about the best asset non-quarterback probably in the entire sport. And they're doing their thing that they always do where they don't pay guys early. And so how that goes down and how they, if there's stuff and decisions to be made around the quarterback and CD and Pickens probably going to want new money and like all this stuff, they've got to put the pieces together. And, for as great as they are at drafting dudes, they are brutal at keeping a team together down there. And those dynamics bubbling under the surface, I think, are going to be fun to watch, especially if they're kind of on the brink. Like, what happens if they're kind of floating around 500 and you could try to convince yourself that you're close, or do you at that point go like, nah, we need to blow it up? Like, that dynamic late in the season, I think, is going to be interesting. And then from the Giants side, like, again, the quarterback room is the best potential comedy in sports. Like, Jameis Winston is
he's gonna be a real things legend in December. I feel like we're gonna get.
He
a lot
would
of
be a real
snippets.
things legend if I wanted to put him in the show more. I so distinctly do not like Jameis Winston. Like, I understand the comedic value and the humor, but like Jameis Winston's had some real stuff that I'm like, no. We don't get to laugh at you and you don't get to be funny guy because you did bad things. And I don't like how people who do bad things, especially to women, just get to, at some point, be like, I'm back, look at me, ha 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 ha. Like, without any, like, I'm all for second chances. I'm all for, like, acknowledging that you've done harm and repenting, and then eventually you get your life back, but you don't just get to have it. And so, like, he would be a real things legend, but like, Anthony, you've sent me stuff before, and I'm like, dang, sucks it's Jameis.
Yeah.
But like, him and Russ together, bro, the show's going to be the show. And like, that's going to be wild. And Jackson Dart's in there. They're going to, at that point in the season, who are they even playing amongst that crew? What is Russ's demeanor during the whole thing? Is he like side-eyeing Jameis, or is he like, come on, no, let's go. We got to help the young guy. Like, however that goes down is going to be pretty interesting. And then, like, is the defense ready to kill the offense? Because, and like, is Malik Neighbors ready to kill everyone else on the offense? Because Malik Neighbors is awesome. The Giants' front seven is maybe one of the best five in football. Like, their front seven's gross. It's so good. And their back end, yikes. Their offensive line has been brutal. And that is going to cause your entire offense to be dysfunctional. So, Dable and Shane fighting for there's a lot of comedic value in New York, potentially. Who knows? Maybe they surprised this year. Maybe they actually got it right. But I certainly wouldn't bet on that if I was me. And I am. And I won't be putting any money down on the Giants. It's Hoffman Show. We're on the Team 980. We're always live as well on the free Odyssey app. When we get back, Commanders and the rest of the NFC East are on Hard Knocks. What do you think of it? 301-230-0980. We got time for a call or two next. the Hoffman Show. We're on the Team 980. We're always live as well on the free Odyssey app. Mike Jones of The Athletic, senior NFL writer, is in Minnesota for the league meetings. We'll talk to him coming up at 5 for Not My Beat, get the latest on everything else going on up there. No calls right now, Anthony. Real quick, anything else from the hard knocks of it all that you are interested in? We don't really talk about the Bills side of it, by the way. I'm very interested in seeing the Bills, like behind the scenes with the Bills. I think McDermott's one of the most underrated coaches in the league. And not that he's been perfect, not that he's on like Andy Reid's level or, would I pick him over Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, etc. But like, because he's a defensive guy, I feel like he gets overlooked a little bit. He's guided them excellently. And the development of Josh Allen was no guarantee. And so to see how he is, I've heard nothing like Lorenzo played for him and he was like, that dude's the real deal. And so I'm kind of excited to see behind the scenes with Sean McDermott because it feels like a big season for him. At some point, if you just keep falling short, do you just keep getting to run it back? And I kind of feel like we're getting closer to that point where the Bills might eventually look around and be like, we're pretty sure this isn't your fault, but we need to do something differently. And sometimes the head coach is the fall guy. So how they set up this season, I think, is pretty fascinating.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was just thinking. I'm like, they're always in position to, contend to go to a Super Bowl, but they always end up falling short. And how much of a leash does McDermott have if he just continues to fall short? So the Bills definitely interesting to watch. They got a revamped offense, new look, everything, to be honest. So I think it's going to be an interesting watch this summer.
It's definitely going to be interesting. And, they've got a couple of rookies and young players that they need to really, really, really step up. So it's going to be interesting to see how they, some of the position battles play out, how they change around a couple of things to try to, better set themselves up. One thing that I think is just an emerging NFL storyline this season in general, and listening to some offseason podcasts and coverage and reading some things, is I think there's a couple of teams that we feel like we know who they are based off who they've been that change up some of who they are this season and like who the Bills are defensively and the amount of man versus zone they play, which is kind of in the weeds. And we don't need to get too far into it now, like on a DC sports show about the Bills coverage structures and choices. We don't need to get too deep into like the Vikings run game. But I think there's some teams that have made choices in the draft and free agency that don't really make sense based off who they've been. Like Minnesota's offensive line choices is probably the cleanest example, where it's like we've been a team that runs the football this way, like zone, and now we might be going to some more gap scheme stuff because we've changed up our personnel, and we think we need to do that based off of some of the ways that teams stopped us last year. That we think we can marry our play action game a little bit better off of some of these other run options, or we think there's an opportunity with some of the coverage structures that teams were using against us, that if we run these set of plays and we have them in our bag, then that takes either we'll be successful or teams will have to make an adjustment and we'll get the original stuff that we want back. So I think that is something that really good teams have done. Like McVay did a huge switch where he's almost gone full 360. And I do mean 360, where he started off in like all the 11 personnel stuff when he got to LA. And it was like always 3 wide receiver. And then they kind of got away from some of that stuff and they'd spread the ball out a little bit more because they had Stafford and, because he was doing a bunch of the condensed formations. Then let's spread it out. And now he's come back and it's gone in like a cycle of how he's put together his offensive lines and his run games and his play action games off of that. And I think O'Connell is going to do something similar in Minnesota. And I think the defense in Buffalo is one of those things as well, to try to give themselves a little more leeway against the Chiefs and the Ravens and the teams that they know they have to go through to finally break through and get to a Super Bowl. But also just the AFC is brutal, bro.
AFC is, man. It's low-key like the West in the NBA. It is brutal, dog.
Like if I tell you, hey, Bills are going to the Super Bowl, you're like, yeah. You realize they got to go through the Chiefs and the Ravens. We'll see what the Bengals are. Like, there's just goon squad, bro. And it's also because the best 4 quarterbacks in the sport are all over there.
And they young, too, though.
I know. Mina did her annual quarterback draft today. Jaden was 5th.
Behind those 4?
Yep.
Hey, look, I like her list.
Yeah, it was her co-host. It was funny. Her co-host on the show, this guy Ali, who runs, I think it's called Read Optional, is his Substack, and I really enjoyed him. I'm only a little bit into the podcast, but I really enjoyed it, and I really enjoy him and his analysis so far. And he took Jaden 5th. He had the 1st, 3rd, and 5th pick. They're doing it like draft style, which is, by the way, good idea. Definitely will steal of doing a quarterback draft. And Mina was like, oh, because she would have had Herbert 5th. And then as they started talking about it, she's like, I think you're right. Like, I actually think that Jaden is the correct answer at 5.
I'm not going to lie, Craig. I don't have Herbert top 8.
Who do you have? You have Jaden at 5, behind Burrow, Allen, Jackson, Mahomes.
To be honest, I will put Stafford ahead of him. I will put Hurts ahead of him. I will put some guys.
Hurts is the hardest quarterback to evaluate in the whole league.
I will say, I think Justin Herbert has become more of a game manager.
So,
as opposed to like when he first came in the league, where he was just throwing the ball to Keenan Allen and Mike Williams.
The hard part is, so they do it for like a guy like Stafford, for instance.
Okay.
The parameters are, you're not doing it based off their circumstances. You're doing it based off of, you're starting a team from scratch, and it's the next 3 years. So like if you get Jalen Hurts, you don't get the Eagles.
Yeah.
And if you take Stafford, if he retires after the season, you've got 2 blank years as opposed to whatever you get for Herbert.
All right, never mind. I will have to redo my
Which
draft.
I love that premise. Honestly, though, I think what we should do to steal but also do original that's more pressing is like, what if we did a draft for 2025? Like, is there another guy you take over Jaden for 2025? I don't think so either. I think he's still 5th. Like, no matter how you want to draw it up, you're going to have to say for like the next 10 years for me to even think about moving him off of, or, if it's 3 years, 4 years, because of the age of Mahomes, Burrow, all those guys, like, I still probably would take those guys. They're so good. And, like, there is just enough unprovenness in Jaden that it probably is worth it. And you get out to like 10 years, like, okay, Lamar's not going to be running around like this in 10 years, even though he's become unbelievable as a pocket passer. So, like, at that point, you're thinking about that. You're thinking about guys like Drake May. You're thinking about, depending on what you think of Cam Ward, whatever. But for this year, that's when it gets really interesting with guys like Stafford, when it gets to Prescott, CJ Stroud, like Hurts. And again, if we were to try to strip it away from circumstances, that becomes a fun exercise that we absolutely will do at some point over the next couple of months. All right, when we get back, the NFL news of the day. It all went down in Minnesota. NFL owners meetings. Mike Jones of The Athletic is there. We will talk with him next. Hoffman Show. We're on the Team 980, always live as well on the free Odyssey app, streaming live on YouTube too at the Team 980. 5 o'clock, top story of the day is everything that happened at the NFL League meetings. It's time for Not My Beat.
His top story from the perspective of someone who's there.
You are looking live.
This just in.
Not My Beat.
Mike Jones on the scene in Minnesota where the Tush Push survives. Mike, we should have known this was coming. It always works. I mean, it's like, what is it? What do they say? 92% of the time? I think that's what the Kelsey brothers say.
Right. It's unstoppable play, and even with the most powerful, NFL people trying to get, a stop against this play, the Eagles live to see another day. You're exactly right. We should not be surprised.
We shouldn't be surprised. We should have seen it coming. Of course, Mike Jones. Mike, ultimately, why does this survive? It comes up 2 votes short on the ban. What are the teams that couldn't quite get on board with it saying, and what are folks around the league saying why this play ultimately survives at least another year, if not farther than that?
Well, one thing that a lot of people who, even if they didn't particularly like the play, they didn't like the idea that it was like they were under one team that's really good at running this play. Because, let's be honest, it's the Philadelphia who have this thing perfected and are automatic on it. And Jerry Jones said, he wouldn't say which way he voted, but he said, I have to ask myself, am I salty against this play because it's the Philadelphia Eagles that run it, or is it a play that needs to be taken out because it doesn't look like what's going on football-wise with passing and throwing and everything like that? It's warfare, and I have to ask myself. And he was asked, okay, so which one is it? He said, I kind of flip-flop back and forth. So even him, a divisional rival, admitted that part of him doesn't like it because it's Philadelphia. And then, so I think there are a lot of teams that were kind of like that. Is it just because of the Eagles? Is it because it's unstoppable? Or is it because it's not really a football play? And there just not enough people. Remember, in March, it was 50-50. 16 teams said get rid of it. 16 said leave it. It was hard to swing 8 votes to get 24 votes of people saying, yeah, it's not good for football to have this play. Because, ultimately people know it's because of the effectiveness of it. If they ran this play and were not effective with it, nobody would care. But it's because it's like a 90% success rate and they can't stop it that they are trying to get this thing removed. And so that's where we stand.
So the list of teams that voted and per Adam Schefter's sources is kind of funny to me in that realm. You have the Eagles, the Ravens, the Browns, the Lions, the Jags, the Dolphins, the Patriots, the Saints, the Jets, and the Titans. So the only AFC East team that voted for the ban is the team that runs it in the Bills. Meanwhile, you have some of the rivals of the Eagles, such as the Lions in the NFC, voting for it. The Commanders, Dan Quinn has been very on message saying, we just got to find a way to stop it. His owner voted to ban it. Do you take anything out of that list or anything else interesting that people said before we put this debate to rest once and for all?
No, I mean, it is interesting to see who's for it, who's against it. Now, some people who voted this time around were more so voting in favor of the rule to not allow pushing or pulling at any point on the field. Because remember, 2004, they removed that for downfield. And then in 2022, they did instruct officials, hey, if you see a pushing and pulling downfield, blow the whistle more quickly in that. And they weren't really enforcing that. So now you're going to see downfield, if there's more scrums and things like that, they're going to blow the whistle more quickly. You're going to see, even with this type of situation, Troy Benson, I talked to him off to the side. He said, if the guy is moving forward still, then that's forward progress. But if there's a little bit of a scrum and he's turning and his shoulder pads and he's facing the sideline and twisting and not moving forward, blow the whistle. Don't just let this twisting and shoving and pulling ensue. So we'll see things cleaned up a little bit, but largely, Troy Vincent said this, Jason Kelsey said this, most of the time Jalen Hurts is still moving forward even before Kenneth Gainwell comes up behind him anyway. So the Eagles are still going to be pretty unstoppable because they have the only quarterback in the league that can squat 600 pounds and they have a really massive offensive line that is really technically sound on this type of play. And so the way that you beat this is don't let them get in 3rd and 2 or 4th and 1, and then this isn't an option.
Mike Jones, senior NFL writer at The Athletic, with us here on the Hoffman Show. NFL wrapping up their owners' meetings in Minnesota. By the way, we had Brooke yesterday, and I said the spring owners' meetings. She went, it's like 40 degrees, right? Is the weather better for you guys today, at least?
No, it's terrible, man. And I have to say, I don't know what's going on, because I looked at WeatherBug before Monday when I was packed, and it said 80 degrees and sunny. I did not pack a jacket. I land yesterday, and it's cold, and it's windy, pouring, and I actually had to look to make sure that I didn't get flown to the wrong. And then something with the weather changed. It's still 50 degrees. It's still cold. It's wet. It's dreary. Not at all like we had Palm Beach down there on March. And I know nobody cares, but I'm salty that it's so miserable outside.
I mean, it's like 32 or 30, whatever, of some of the world's richest people that get to pick anywhere in the world, and they picked Eagan, Minnesota. And all due respect to Eagan, Minnesota, but normally they do this in the Biltmore in Phoenix or Palm Springs. So why are you in Eagan in the first place?
Last year was this time. The second spring one was in Nashville. Let's do that. I'm not complaining about that. This is I don't know, man. It was a shock to the system to step off, and my weather app was so terribly wrong.
Not to go too deep into weather story like we are in already, but remember 2 years ago at the Combine when it changed dramatically, and all of a sudden it went from C to 30? Yeah. That was. I landed the day that it changed and didn't look more specific. I thought I was gonna be able to land in India, go for a nice run on the river. And I didn't at the high of was literally at 8, and it was just plummeting to landed at 9 a.m. at 8 degrees. So I understand the weather switcheroo is really, I'm telling you, Mike. That's it's not very fun. Anyway, apropos of none of that, the NFL did actual business. The Lions tabled or withdrew their proposal to reseed the playoffs. Obviously, you do that if you know you're not going to get past. But what discussions and do we think there is a future where there is some caveat on a division winner getting an automatic home game? Is there support for some reform, even if it's not what the Lions proposed this time around?
Yeah, a lot of people about that too. And here's the thing. These owners and coaches and GMs, team presidents, they see winning a division as a really highly coveted thing. And it should come with a reward of home field advantage. Even a lot of guys are saying, hey, so what? You finish slow. I mean, you start slow. If you're able to turn your season around and you scratch and claw your way to a division, even if your record's not great and you win that division, hats off to you. And so people did not like the idea of, winning a division and then getting nothing out of it. And so that's why that is staying the same. Now, say they go to 18 games. And I know the NFL thought that, hey, maybe this will make the late season game more exciting. Say they go to 18 games, maybe they'll be willing to do it after the first round. But still, for now, a lot of people just feel like, what's the incentive of winning your division if you're not going to get home field advantage out of it? And that's why they basically decided, okay, there's not enough support for this. We're not even going to leave it up there to a vote. We'll just continue to talk about this and see if there's other ways we can find to make this better in the future.
The NFL also today the Hard Knocks teams for this season. The Bills going to get the preseason treatment. Then the NFC East in division, which is obviously very exciting here in DC. The Bills part of it first, though, Mike. I thought playoff teams didn't have to do Hard Knocks. Did they change that rule, or was just good? Come inside our building. Let's show you off.
I don't know. We didn't ask that question, but I think that they're in the business to find the most compelling football, and I think that they saw the divisional look inside the AFC North, which was teams fighting for playoffs, was really compelling. So they feel like, look, let's put some of our best, our biggest stars. Look, we got the league MVP and Josh Allen. Let's give them a look inside there, and it's going to be compelling football, compelling watch for fans. And so I think that, it's something that teams are embracing more, not seeing as much of, a pain like it was when, Hard Knocks first.
What are you most excited to see on the NFC East of things? Is there a particular team that, whether it's Sirianni runs his locker room or what Dan Quinn's saying? I know there's going to be the Jaden Daniels arriving at third inning montage. We know that's coming. What are you most excited about the NFC East version of Hard Knocks?
I want to see John Mara talking about, how painful the last year was. I want to see Jameis Winston lose his smiley demeanor and body slam unlimited Russell Wilson, just snapping. That quarterback rivalry would be entertaining, So that'll be the train wreck of the aspect. And I think, obviously, the Eagles, Washington, that should be compelling. Cowboys, those rivalry games, there'll be some great behind the scenes stuff. But I think the Giants will have some wacky stuff with their quarterback room.
That is a great call. I thought I was thinking about the good teams. I was like, oh yeah, the Giants are in there. Yeah, that quarterback room, you could not put together a NFL. Please get us as much footage from that room as possible. Last order of business that went down yesterday, Mike, was the NFL approving their players playing in the Olympics. The PA puts out a statement this morning. We're really excited about this. This is very cool. Players getting to live out a dream medal, but we also look forward to on ensuring they can do so. Jobs are safe with injuries and all that kind of stuff. How hurdles are actually left? This is a significant one, but how far away are we still from this becoming a reality for Justin Jefferson or Lamar Jackson suiting up Team USA in LA in 2028?
Well, Justin Jefferson has been working hard with the league to expand and promote flag football. But when we asked him about playing in 3 years, he was kind of like, we'll have to see how my body is. I think he's like 27 right now. So he's going to be 30-something. We'll see if he still has interest. I think if you're going to do it, you have to have Patrick Mahomes as your quarterback, maybe Lamar Jackson. It's got to be one of the two of those guys. But it's going to be interesting to see what other guys. A lot of guys are expected to raise their hands, as Troy Vincent said. But USA Football will be in charge of selecting who makes this team. The rules are a little bit different for flag football, like what we saw with the Pro Bowl. So that's going to be interesting. But everybody's on the same page. They want to make this happen. The NFL is going to make sure they give the protections that the players need as far as like injury and compensation protections and things like that. As Troy Vincent said, nobody wants to be the bad guy in this. This is a thing that everybody sees as a positive, a rare opportunity to represent your country on the global stage. Because, I remember when we were kids, there was a Reebok commercial. Emmitt Smith was always trying to lobby to get the Olympics to let football in there. And, it was like a pipe dream. Well, now these guys get the opportunity to play kind of like the dream team and be showcasing their game in a different version, but still an exciting version. So it's going to happen. It'll be interesting to see what like and interest is if they do it beyond 2028 for NFL players, or if it's something for this time to kind of launch the game and also use as a springboard to the pro league that the NFL is going to be starting for men and women.
Mike Jones, senior NFL writer for The Athletic, writing about all of this at The Athletic. Mike, appreciate your time. I'm sorry your trip, and here's to the next owners meeting location.
All right. Thanks a lot, Craig. I'll see you.
Hey, this is D. with the Hoffman, Team 980, and the Odyssey Edge.
Who doesn't love a sports talk radio draft in the middle of May? The answer is nobody, which is why we're going to have one in 10 minutes. But I need to know what I'm doing first. The NFL has allowed players to play in the 2028 Olympics. That vote went down yesterday. What they're allowing them to play is flag football. Luckily for us here at the Hoffman Show, our producer, super producer Anthony Haney. When I say our, I guess my producer, because if we're separating me and you, Anthony, we're it. We're the show. There's no secret third person around here. So you, half of this show, we're going to rely on you to inform us all, non-flag football players who watch 11-man NFL football and college football on a regular basis, what we need to know about flag football, and specifically me, so that then hopefully I can crush you in a draft in 9 minutes, where we each are going to pick a flag football team, pretending that the Olympics was this year, not in 2028. We're not going to do the future projection bit. We're just going to be like, all right, now that we know what skill sets we're looking for, let's draft a team. So, Anthony, what can you tell us about what the flag football is that's going to be played in the Olympics in 2028?
I mean, the most important position will definitely be quarterback. I will say that. And to be honest, it's going to come down to what your cup of tea is. I think if you want, a QB that's going to be able to scramble, you're probably going to want somebody that's very shifty because they'll have to elude or evade defenders and things of that nature. Like a Patrick Mahomes in the NFL, he can definitely, keep the play alive. But I think in flag football, his flag is probably getting caught. Like it most likely is. Now,
it's pretty shifty.
Yeah, I'm just saying in the backfield. I don't know, man, because you see sometimes defenders diving and lunging at him and they're missing him. I think with the Lamar, he's getting you all the way out of the screen, and that's the kind of guy you need because all you got to do is be able to reach and grab somebody's flag. It's easier than tackling somebody.
Well, yeah, obviously.
Yeah, so I definitely think quarterback is the most important position, and then I think defensively, I think that's where you got to have your emphasis because again, if you can limit the other team from scoring, I think you'll be able to win. So you need real athletes on the defensive side of the ball. I will give you this hint. I think Travis Hunter will be a perfect person for this kind of draft just because he is versatile. He can play offense, he can play defense, and he's just an all-around athlete, to be honest.
That's a great call because I was thinking about the defensive side of it. So it's 10-player teams, 5 on the field at a time.
Yep.
So how much 5-man have you played?
I don't play 5-man.
You play 7 and 9, right?
Yeah, I play 9-man. I play 8-man. I watch 5-man though. When we go to nationals, they have every style down there, so I understand 5-man. And they play on a smaller field.
70 by 25 is the field.
Yeah, real small.
2 20-minute halves, 4 downs to midfield, and 4 downs to score.
Yep.
No run plays within 5 yards of the end zone?
Nope. It's a little they have these lines on the field where you can't run. So,
all right.
Yeah.
All right. So then when it says 10 players, 5 at a time, do they typically have 5 offensive guys, 5 defensive guys, or are there 2 or 3 guys that probably are going to play both sides at the very least?
It depends. Again, it's the makeup of the team. So if you only have 7 players down there, you're going to have 5.
No, we're talking about in the Olympics. Bro. We're talking at best case scenario.
Oh
here.
Yeah, you're probably going to have
not your
5
nationals. All due respect.
Yeah, you're probably going to have 5 offensive, 5 defensive. You're going to have somebody to take the ball. You're going to have a center, and then everybody can go out except the
So take me through a flag football play. So it's there's a guy who's snapping the ball.
Yep.
Is he going between the legs, or is he doing a sideways underhand?
It depends how he wants, but usually it's between the legs. But he's in a position where he's in a position where he can hike and then run kind of thing.
Okay, but he's everyone's eligible.
Yes, everyone is eligible to go out for a route, and some of the routes they come up with is really good.
What's the rush situation?
You can rush, as soon
straight up.
Yeah, as soon as the ball is hiked.
Do teams rush, or do they just play man on the back end? I guess it's probably you play man.
Some play zone, actually. Some play zone, and it might turn into a man. But for the most part, to be honest, I think it's more zone than.
But I guess
man.
that's a bad question. They play coverage, or do they try to? Is there at least one rusher on every single play, pretty much?
Yeah, somebody's trying to get out.
Okay, so they're not going 5-on-4 on the back end and letting the quarterback sit back there or with the spy or whatever.
But I will tell you this, like sometimes, so like if you're rushing from the right side, then the quarterback can leak out to the left kind of thing.
So you just got to run at him and hope he's not super mobile.
Yeah.
And how deep are they lining? Because like immediate pressure, that's a problem.
They line up like 8 to like 9, 10 yards like behind the line of scrimmage. Just so if they want to throw the ball, they can throw the ball. And if they want to, evade, shake somebody, then they can do that as well. Also in 5-man flag, you can like jump and like spin, and it's all types of stuff that you're not allowed to do on the other styles.
Oh, so you like spin moves and stuff are legal.
Man, Craig, some of the guys, they're ducking down like this, like walking, like it is very fascinating how, they evade defenders. It is crazy.
So what's the most important aspect of the game? Is it the passing game or does the running game wind up? Like, I guess also how does you can just do handoffs and stuff?
Now, I mean, I wouldn't do a handoff in 5-man, but
they do more like jet sweeps and stuff like that.
They don't really do jet sweeps, to be honest.
How do they run? It's just the quarterback runs.
Yeah, pretty much.
But he can't run within 5 yards of the end zone.
No, can't.
So you have to score through the air.
Yes.
Or on a long run.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is very fun. A lot of people have a lot of fun out there. I don't play 5-man. Too many styles of football that I would be playing, so I just keep
why do you prefer 7 and 9 versus 5?
I like the physicality in 9-man. 8-man, I don't play much 8-man.
There's 8-man too. We're doing even numbers too.
Well, I don't play 7-man. I play 8-man and I play 9-man.
Okay, my bad.
Yeah, I play 8-man and I play 9-man.
And why is it more physical? Because there's
in 9-man you actually have a line. You're missing 2 guards, but like everything else it's a
center tackle situation.
Yeah, and then tight ends. If you want to run double tight, you can. We run the ball between our linemen and things like that. It gets very physical. It gets very physical. Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
All right.
It's also just more, it's similar to like real football, just without the pads and stuff like that.
Okay.
Like you can block people, you can run the ball, you can stiff arm people, and those other styles you can't stiff arm people. They get upset.
Can you stiff arm in 5-man?
Yeah, you can do that in 5-man.
So you can spin and you can jump, which you can't do in 9-man?
No. You cannot do that in 9-man.
Pure brutality, 9-man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
It's different.
I'm intrigued. Okay. Now that I know what I'm doing, I feel much less confident about my ability to.
I will say one last thing.
Yeah.
I think the most important part of flag football is being able to pull the flag. So I think you need some really good flag pullers. I went down to the Pro Bowl. People like Zaire, he was out there missing flags. I'm like, dude, you got to break down. Like, it's hard to grab them flags. Like, you think you got it, and you don't really got it because they're constantly moving. So it is really an art. Being able to pull flags is an art. I struggle sometimes at it, but,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
Not everyone can be Anthony Haney. Especially Pro Bowl linebacker Zaire Franklin.
Exactly.
Can we please cut this clip and send it to Z?
Okay, I'm going to let him know.
I'm sure you already have. All right, when we get back, Anthony and I will draft our own 5-man flag football teams amongst current NFL players. And we'll see if they're any good. the Hoffman Show. We're on the Team 980. We're always live as well on the free Odyssey app, streaming live on YouTube too at the Team 980. All right, it is time for a draft. It is time for Anthony and I to pick our five-man football teams for flag football as if the Olympics were this summer. So that is an important caveat, Anthony. We are not trying to project out to 2028 when this will actually happen in Los Angeles. And we're just going to say, based off of what we know about these players right now, we're going to pick what we think is the best five-man team made up of NFL players. Real quick, as our resident flag football expert, of the 10 guys that are going to play for Team USA, how many of them do you think will be NFL players? Like, are we talking 5 and 5? Because they've got, like, there is a Team USA flag football team that already exists, and, like, it is a different sport. And to that end, like, some of those guys are going to make it, if not many of them. How many do you think, like, what's the split here?
I mean, if they really wanted to make it NFL players only, to be honest, I think all of the NFL players could, make the team. I think they're better athletes than, the flag. I think the quarterback is ultimately what makes the biggest difference in this style of play.
Okay, we got a call. Should I take this call first before the draft?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. VC wants to give us more info on flag football. I'm all about getting the information and then doing the draft. I'm trying to be as smart as possible here. VC, what else can you tell us? And Anthony, I don't know that my mouse is letting me pull him up over here. So if you could do the honors. VC, what can you tell us about flag football that we should know as we look ahead to 2028 now that the players, it's been approved by the NFL that NFL players can participate?
Great day, Craig. Man, thank you for letting me come on, man. Anthony did an excellent job of explaining it to you, but I want the people to understand flag football, you have to be creative when it comes to running the ball and pulling a flag. Like he was saying, the way the quarterbacks maneuver in the pocket, there's a hip swivel that they do where they can just twitch their hips real fast and the flag moves, and what you're looking at to grab is gone. And then how he explained, in 5-man and 4-man, they have contact and non-contact. So in those type of styles, it's where sometimes the receiver catch the ball, you can't even block for him. You literally have to stop where you are. So all the creativity has to come from the runner, whether it's stop and go, juking. Like you said, it's no stiff arms, but in 9-man where it's more physical and you got the lineman, you see a little more, we call it bodying up when you want to pull a flag. You come in and you put your shoulder or something on a body part of theirs so they can't maneuver the way they can maneuver when you can't make contact with them, and then you pull their flag. So it's real creative, and I know a lot of the NFL guys, they're used to having that equipment on, so that body-up method like in 9-man and 8-man that we use, they may not be so used to that or, approaching someone without something protecting their face. Because like Anthony said, it gets real physical, especially that 9-man with those linemen and then running the ball, in between the tackle or the guard area of the football field.
That's good stuff, VC. And that's the thing is like this. So with the 5-man, I'm trying to think if there's anybody that I want to draft that's just like can't handle the physicality of the NFL, but in a situation like 5-man, their shiftiness, the human joystick element of them. I'm trying to think of some names. There's one name that in your call there popped onto my draft board. So I appreciate the call. Anything else on 5-man specifically that we should know?
5-man specifically, it all depends on contact or not. I also know, like you said, you can't do any jumping when even at the goal line, you have to go through. A lot of people, instead of jumping, they'll guide themselves out of bounds and reach the ball over with one hand, how we see when somebody's about to get hit. You'll see that a lot in 5-man as well without the contact or being able to jump for the end zone.
All right, man. VC, appreciate the call. Thank you.
Okay, brother. Good luck in your draft, fellas.
All right, thank you. All right. And by the way, I just quick look at the rules here. Just pulled it up, and hopefully, some of these Google searches these days, Anthony, the AI has been proven to be not exactly super relevant, but super good. But the AI overview of the Google search here. Key rules: no contact. All forms of contact are prohibited, including blocking, tackling, diving, and screening. Players wear 2 flags attached to their waist. A defender tackles by pulling off one or both flags. Teams play with 5 players on the field at a time. No linemen. Forward passes. All passes must be forward and received beyond the line of scrimmage. Direct handoffs are allowed behind the line of scrimmage, and there are no restrictions on backwards passes. 7-second rule: quarterback must release the ball within 7 seconds of receiving the snap. There is a no run zone close to the end zone. Where only passing is allowed, and touchdowns are worth 6 points. Teams can then attempt an extra point from the 5-yard line or a 2-point conversion from the 10. A safety is worth 2. Olympic flag football follows standardized international rules set by governing bodies like the International Federation of American Football. All right. Them's the rules, Anthony.
Are you ready?
Yes. But we're now in a weird time situation. I think we take a break, come back, do the draft.
All right,
Let's do that. All right. When we get back, the draft. the Hoffman Show. We're on the Team 980. We're always live as well on the free Odyssey app. We are in an unprecedented era of NBA parody. Jerry Brewer wrote about it in a column for the Washington Post. Jerry's going to join us at 6 o'clock. Right now, though, it is time for a draft. A draft where Anthony Haney and I will pick flag football teams for the non-existent 2026 Summer Olympic Games. We're doing this as if the Olympics were this summer. NFL players now allowed to play in what will actually be the 2028 Los Angeles Games. Anthony, I will give you the number one pick. Or let me ask you this. Do you want the number one pick or do you want the number two pick? I have my board in front of me on the old tablet. Do you want the number one or number two pick?
I'll give you the number one, Craig.
See, I actually feel like that's the correct strategic decision because once I'm going to take a quarterback one, but once I take one, you kind of don't have to take one.
Yep.
Should we pick quarterbacks and then do the other 9 dudes?
No.
Okay, fine. All right, that's fair, though, because that means I get my pick of quarterback and then you get the best of the rest. All right. With the first overall pick in the Hoffman Show flag football draft, the Hoffmans take Lamar Jackson.
I love that pick for you, Craig.
It just, at some point, taking the guy who's really shifty, can throw from all arm angles, is super creative, and nobody can catch when he starts to run, seems like the most obvious pick.
Yeah. I like the way you think then.
Yeah. QB2 is harder. Lamar, I think, is the correct answer at 1.
Yeah, QB2 is hard.
All right.
All right, here we go. So this is snake, right? I get 2 and 3?
No.
Oh, it's 1, 1, 1?
Yeah, the way that you get the next, like, you can now save your quarterback for the last pick. That's enough of an advantage. We don't need to do a snake draft.
Okay. All right. Well, with my first pick, this one might surprise you. I'm going defense, Craig.
Oh.
I'm going defense, and I'm going Pat Surtain.
It's a great pick. It's a great pick. He is undoubtedly the best defensive back in the league. He quietly might be the best defensive player in the league.
Hey, look, he was Defensive Player of the Year last year.
He's insane. And in flag, to have a dude that can shut down one side of the field, that's mega. All right. Looking hard at my wide receiver board here. Hard at my wide receiver board.
You got a lot of options.
I do, and it's just trying to figure out which one is the best one. I'm going to go with the guy who I feel like has the best release package. He might have the best hands. And the one way that you try to stop him in the NFL is get physical with him, and you can't get even quite as physical. But he's not a guy who's as much. Actually, no, I'm not going with that guy. I'm going with the guy who's just the most explosive athlete, who just is a straight up, like, launch him out of a rocket. If the whole thing is we got to get the ball to the guy and let him run, then Jamar Chase is the correct answer. With the third overall
you're going
pick,
Chase.
I'm going Jamar Chase. Who's more explosive than Jamar Chase?
Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, but Tyreek Hill's never going to be on one of my teams.
Yeah, I figured you weren't going to draft him, so when you started saying the most explosive, I'm like, I know he's not talking about Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, and also, is Tyreek Hill anymore? I mean, I
Yes.
guess we're going to find out.
Yeah.
I mean, he did not look as good this year, on top of all the other stuff.
If Tua's not there, then
he's getting, like, for 28, I don't know how much of a factor he's going to be because he is getting up there in age. Tyreek Hill's been around a while. I'm not even, like, trying to talk about all the other stuff. Like, genuinely, Tyreek Hill, as a guy who
this is year 10 for him, I think.
Yeah, like, he's about to be on the wrong side of 30. Welcome to the wrong side of 30. All right. 4th overall pick. Who you got?
Oh, man, you took Jamar. Dang, do I go defense again?
You could.
Actually, I'm going to go with my gut. I'm going Travis Hunter.
I really considered going him 3rd.
Craig, for flag football, so, like, I understand, like you said, like, Jamar has great release package.
I mean, I was going with someone else when I was saying all that stuff. He also has all that stuff.
Yeah.
But he's just like, Jamar leads the NFL. Like, Jamar almost had, like, I think, like 1,000 yards after the catch this year. It was stupid.
Yeah, he's nasty. He's nasty. I'm going Travis here just because he's just a pure athlete. There's not going to be people that press him in 5-man flag. He'll have his one-on-one opportunities, and guess what? My quarterback will be able to just throw him the ball up if need be. Go make a play, sir.
What's more valuable in flag? Pure speed, or like if I have a guy that's got like good speed but a feel for it all, can make like all the contested catches and all that stuff.
I think the latter.
Okay.
Because the field is so small. Now, if it was a way bigger field, all right, maybe.
That is a good point. All right, then my next pick, I'm going to go with the guy that I almost went with last time, Justin Jefferson.
Okay.
Like,
so your receiving core is crazy.
Releases, hands, and a sport where we have to, like, everyone in the whole world knows Justin Jefferson's getting the football. He still gets the football. Kevin O'Connell's great, but like some of that is Justin Jefferson. So I'm going JJ with the 5th overall pick in the draft.
Okay.
And I also trust that like these dudes can play some DB too. I don't know how deep we're going to get. We're just going to go till we're out of time. So we're going to see if we get all the way to 10 on our roster here. But
yeah. Okay. With my next pick, you're probably going to hate this pick for my offense anyway. I'm going Tyreek Hill.
Okay. I mean, I don't hate it as a football player. He sucks.
Yeah. I'm going Tyreek Hill.
Wasn't on the board, but I appreciate
my team looking solid right now.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, we're going to pick at most 20 players in the NFL. Like, we should have good teams. And you also get to cheat and not
pick my quarterback.
Pick your quarterback till the end. All right. Do I go defense or do I try to?
Your offense is loaded, man.
It is.
You got some talent over there.
I think I'm going to go one more dude on offense.
Okay.
Before I invest in my defense. And I'm going to go with the guy who came to mind when VC called. And he talked about just making dudes miss. Who's better at that than Saquon? He's also a guy who can catch, like, yes, part of the appeal of Saquon is the physicality. He's big, he's hard to tackle. But when you talk about a juke package for running backs, the dude did a reverse hurdle this year.
Well, there's that. But I think when it comes to juking people in pads and flag, it's two totally different things. I personally, if I was you, would have gone with Jahmyr Gibbs.
He's the other running back that's on my board. And Jahmyr Gibbs is great. I think Saquon's ability to set people up, to get in space, he makes dudes, and I realize they're trying to tackle him, they're not trying to pull a flag, but he makes dudes literally catch air. Yeah. He jukes people clean out their shoes in the NFL. And if you're just trying to lunge at a flag, as opposed to trying to like actually make contact with the dude, I feel confident that if we get Saquon in space, we can do some damage.
Okay.
And like, think of all the home runs he hit last year.
Yeah.
I feel good about that pick.
All right, I'm gonna go offense here.
Okay.
And I'm gonna go Malik Neighbors.
He was definitely on my list. He is talking about a guy who's explosive. Holy cow.
He's nasty.
All right. I'm gonna finally go DB here. I just gotta pick which one.
Yeah, I'm interested to see who you go.
I've got 4 that I like.
Uh-oh. Whoever you don't go, I'm going.
Well, I could also get. There's probably 2 guys that are at the top of the list in terms of coverage guys. One of whom just got paid. One of whom is going to get paid within the next year. If it's just coverage, I'm going to go Sauce.
Okay. You can have Sauce.
Who are you taking?
I'm taking that boy Jalen.
Are you taking Ramsey?
I'm taking Jalen.
Interesting. That was not the guy that I was thinking of.
Who were you thinking then?
Well, then with the next pick, I am taking Derek Stingley.
That one's good. That is good. That one's good. That one is good. I don't know. I like my corners big, physical. In flag football, they like to throw a lot of jump balls. I think I have some athletes. Pat, Travis, Jalen. Yeah, we good.
Yeah, I mean, like I can get JJ out there on the outside for a jump ball situation. Like I feel all right with some of my receivers playing both ways. But yeah, if Sauce and Stingley as cover corners, yeah, I also feel good.
Okay. All right. I do need a red zone threat, and I'm torn. Because Kelsey, he's on the back nine.
Very on the back nine.
I'm torn between, all right, I'm going to do it. Even though he did cost the Ravens a game, I'm going Mark Andrews as my red zone threat.
Okay. That's such a mistake, but that's fine.
You think I should have gone Kittle?
Nope. I'm going to tell you who you should have taken in a few picks. All right. Next up. This guy could also be a red zone threat. I'm going with a pass rusher. Because you get one.
You about to go Michael Parsons?
I'm going with Myles Garrett.
He is an athlete.
He is 6'5", 290 pounds. He has a 40-inch vertical. I think we can use him in the red. He's also got the biggest body ever. Like, hi, this is my house that's on wheels and has a rocket booster attached to it. I'm going Myles Garrett. I did think about Micah. There's also one other defensive end that's like a kind of a sleeper flag football specialty pick that I'm interested in, but I'm going to go with Myles.
All right. Well,
I think we're actually, if we go quick here, we can get to 10.
All right. Well, you're taking Myles. I'm taking Micah.
All right. You're taking Micah. My next pick, I'm going to go with another DB, and I'm going to go with the guy that I think is super flexible, and I'm between two guys, but I'm going to go with the more athletic guy, and that's Cooper DeJean.
I love that pick.
He can play nickel. He can play safety. He can play outside. Like, he showed some great ball skills with that pick in the Super Bowl. Cooper DeJean, welcome to the squad.
Okay. You're taking this one's very slept on, but I saw him down at the Pro Bowl this year. I'm taking Budda Baker.
Okay. I don't hate that.
He was nasty out there at flag, so I'm taking Budda.
Yeah, Budda's a good pick. All right, number 9, 9th round pick here. Do I do it? Or do I just go with another receiver? I could circle back. Yeah, this is easy. How am I getting him in here? With the 9th round selection, I'm taking CeeDee Lamb.
Okay, you can have him.
Like, CeeDee's my slot with JJ and Jamar outside. Are you kidding me?
You do have a nasty receiving core.
Yeah.
But, hey, look, we're not worried.
All right, 3 more picks. Let's roll.
My QB that I'll be taking, Patty Mahomes.
I think that's probably the correct answer. Jaden is the other guy that was on my board. If somehow you decided to take 2 quarterbacks and took Pat and Lamar or something. All right, my final pick is the tight end you should have taken, Brock Bowers.
Is he a red zone threat, though?
He's an everything threat.
He's nasty. Oh, and that is a great pick. That is a great pick.
All right, last pick of the draft. Who you got?
Last pick of the draft. I'm torn. I need a receiver, to be honest. I'm going to go. Actually, no, I'm going to take a running back. I'm going to take
Gibbs?
I'm going to take Gibbs.
That's a good pick. All right, the other guys that were on my board were Jaden, Jameson Williams. I thought about him with the pure speed. That was the guy I was thinking about earlier. And then I was like, wait, no, the 6 CD. The only other defensive player that I was like really tempted by that pick where I took CD, Fred Warner, best cover linebacker in the league. Put him in the middle of the defense and let's get some organization going. That could have been fun. Kenyon Mitchell, Kyle Hamilton, and then 2 other guys that are just pure freaks as pass rushers. Shamar Stewart, who just got drafted. Yep. You don't got to worry about him tackling. Just get the speed. But on that same token, Nolan Smith runs a 4.3 on the edge.
Yeah.
That would have been an interesting one. All right, that's our draft. If you're watching this on demand on YouTube and you want to leave a comment and let us know who won the draft, do that. If you're listening to us live, well then, Jerry Brewer's next from the Washington Post. Hoffman Show. We're on the Team 980, always live as well on the free Odyssey app. Streaming live on YouTube too, at the Team 980. Sometimes you do segments in this business or you have takes in this business, and then years later you're like, man, I was really wrong about that. And sometimes you have ones that you're like, man, I was really right about that. And I remember doing a show back in 2021, overtime over on 106.7 The Fan, and just planning a whole segment around like a history lesson of the NBA and why that history lesson was going to look very, very different in a couple of years because we were going to be in a period where there seemed to be no dominant superstar. And lo and behold, here we are in 2025, and we have had 7 different champions in the last 7 years, or will have 7 different champions once this NBA Finals happens and a new champion is crowned, because none of the teams remaining have won a title in the last 7 years. In fact, the Knicks are the only one that have won, unless you count the Sonics 1979 title for the Thunder, which is something Jerry Brewer does not. He wrote a column in the Washington Post about this parody, and he joins us now. Jerry, how we doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me.
I really was excited to see that you wrote about this. And not only did you write about kind of just the parody and like, whoa, this is neat, this is cool, this is unprecedented. You also wrote why you think this is happening, which I think unlocks a lot of other important questions about the NBA. So why do you think that we are in this 7 different champions in 7 years era of NBA basketball when the sport's history is dominated by superstars winning multiple titles in a row?
I think it was going to happen anyway, just by the cyclical nature of sports, Craig. But the real reason why it's lasted this long and will continue to last, I believe, is that the NBA is legislating parity in a way that it never has, in a way that is similar to how the NFL does it. And, I mean, we'll see if the basketball fans' tastes are similar enough, if they're obsessed enough with basketball, like we are with football, to not have, like, dominant markets and dominant teams and dominant stars always win all the time. But it's very clear. I mean, when you go back and you look what they did in the collective bargaining agreement that they agreed upon 2 years ago that will last for 7 seasons, it's very clear that certain owners got jealous, particularly of the Golden State Warriors and how dominant they were. And they wanted to make sure super teams were done. And they wanted to make sure that the Warriors never had or anyone like the Warriors had a situation like what happened in 2016 when they were able to get the cap room to add Kevin Durant for 3 years.
So the ultimate question here, Jerry, is this good? Because I think I can make an argument that it's actually a very stupid idea, the way they've legislated the parity currently.
I think they went way too far with it, Craig. I mean, we don't want to go into the weeds of the CBA.
Who's we, Jerry? You know who you're talking to here. Like, come on. I love exactly. A CBA weeds conversation.
I mean, that's between me and you. But, essentially they have a second apron. And so if you're too far over the cap, even if you built your team in an organic manner, you get heavily penalized, up to loss of draft picks. Your ability, like NBA teams that are good have always been able to thrive on getting guys to sign for less at the mid-level exception. Those exceptions start to go away. The higher up in salary you are, you can't even make trades in which you say you're trying to trade a player. You're trying to acquire a player who makes $40 million. And, it used to be in the NBA, like if you had salaries that matched or came close to matching, you could make a trade, even if it was like you're trading 3 players for this one guy. You can't do trades that way if you're too far over the cap. It has to be a 1-to-1 trade, a player-for-player trade. On down the list, like there's a laundry list of things. Like you need a capologist sitting beside you just to see what you can do in the NBA right now. And I think that's what's going to make it difficult. I think it's not only going to make it difficult, you're not only punishing really good teams that have high-priced rosters, you're also punishing teams that made a bad decision and then all of a sudden can't get out of it. So I think, yes, there's going to be more opportunity for teams to win championships. I also think in some cases it's going to keep bad teams down longer than they should be down, which, when you're, if you're like the New Orleans Pelicans right now, good luck to you. If you, I think the Wizards are on a good trajectory, but if they happen to make one bad decision, on a super high priced player, they might pay, just a really, really bad penalty in trying to get out from underneath that contract. So, movement is going to be restricted. It's going to be incredibly complicated. You're going to see monster deals have to be consummated, 6 teams or more in some cases, just for little things to happen. And I don't think that's fun for the average sports fan.
Jerry Brewer, Washington Post, with us here on the Hoffman Show. I think one of the other things is teams that do it the right way or that build winners aren't going to be able to stay together. You have a situation right now with the Boston Celtics, Jerry, where I genuinely believe, after looking at their cap sheet and looking at the rules, and with this Jason Tatum injury basically knocking out next year, that the best way for the Boston Celtics to move forward is probably to trade Jaylen Brown. That shouldn't be true. There's no world where you should say, hey, the best way for us to maximize our championship window is to trade one of the 15 best players in the league. Is that the kind of thing that you think could change minds? Or do you think that all the other owners are going to look at the Celtics and be like, haha, sweet, now we can have our own Jaylen Brown, and maybe the stars get dispersed in a different way?
Yeah, I don't think most owners care at all, unless you're the ones whose team is getting pilfered by the system. I think what it's going to take in 7 years is for players to have the consciousness to look not only about how much of a slice of a pie they're getting, but how teams are built, and to push back on this somewhat. Right now, I think they just feel like, the max contract is. I just saw where Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, winning MVP, is going to be eligible for a 5-year, $380 million extension, or if he does it another way, like a 4-year, $293 million extension. So if you're a star player, you're like, this system is working great for me, and they're not thinking enough about how teams are built and whether they feel this is fair or not. So they're going to have to think in those terms. But you're right. I think the Celtics are a great example. This is a team that they built the right way. They have a core of stars that they drafted and developed right on down to the Peyton Pritchard off the bench. They made good trades in order to supplement their teams. They're not one that has gone out and spent recklessly in free agency after stripping down the team for cap space. They should be able to keep that team together, but you're looking at a team that's got Jason Tatum, who's gone for a year, Jaylen Brown, Kristaps Porzingis, who they'll be desperate to trade this season, but good luck this offseason in trading him, Drew Holiday, and Derek White. So you have 5 players that are making at least $30 million, not because the team, once again, spent recklessly in free agency, just because they made good moves to get good players. And they're looking at a luxury tax bill that would, salary plus luxury tax penalties, would be in the neighborhood of $500 million next year, which new ownership is not going to do. Old ownership was not going to do that. But more than just, that cap charge is the fact that you can't go out, if you kept this roster together, you can't go out and add a role player. Say Al Horford retires. You can't go out and replace him with anything that is even league average with the way things are set up. So, I think it punishes teams like the Celtics. I think it's going to punish a team like the Oklahoma City Thunder, which is almost entirely built, except for 2 role players, almost entirely built through the draft. If you're the Washington Wizards, as soon as you get good, you're going to have to worry about that, in the way that you're building. So I'm not sure that this system works for anyone except for the bad teams that are crying that the other teams are too good.
Jerry Brewer with us. Last thing, Jerry, I guess I don't know, pushback's the right word, but like, why do you think that the burden is on the players? Because I think so many of this is like, it's not a cash problem, it's a cap problem, right? It's that, for instance, that contract you referenced for SGA, that actually hurts the Oklahoma City Thunder in the team building process because they are going to have to pay him more than anyone else. That's not how markets are supposed to work. And they're going to get punished by the fact that he's awesome. And he's going to eat up a tremendous amount of their cap space compared to if he was just pretty good and not MVP level and didn't sign a super max, but just signed a regular max contract. And to me, that burden should not be on the players. That should be on the owners and on the league to say, hey, we got to think about how this is affecting our team building. The players' jobs is ultimately to care about their own checks. So if the league is being hurt by this, shouldn't the onus be like the popularity of the league, the ability for it to be what it has been at its best, which is dynastic teams going head to head, Celtics, Lakers, on down the list? Shouldn't that be the league's responsibility?
Yeah, I mean, but what is the league? The league is an agreement between the owners and the players. And so you know where the owners stand, and you know the players only stand about like what's our slice of the pie right now. And like realistically, like it's going to take like both entities caring about the game, and in order to have some kind of level of fairness, it's going to have to take some pushback from the other side that's negotiating at the table, and that's where like the players come in. But I think you make some excellent points, about this entire system. I've always thought, Craig, that the whole max salary system is stupid to begin with because everybody who like averages 20 points wants to get the maximum amount of money, where like it's very clear that like you shouldn't have a system in which Julius Randle can get awarded the same amount as a prime LeBron James. Right? Like there's a difference. Like there aren't 25 max players in the league. There aren't 25 superstars. There's like 7 or 8. Those guys should be making more than Jaylen Brown shouldn't be the second highest paid player in the NBA when he's like the 17th best player in the NBA. So like there are all those things. I've always thought, Craig, that there should be like a designated player exception in which you can pay that guy whatever you want and only like X amount counts against the cap. I think you have to reward these teams that are doing it the right way. I give you another example: the Denver Nuggets. Not a super big market. They drafted Jokic in the second round, helped him become a superstar. Drafted Jamal Murray, drafted Michael Porter Jr., drafted Christian Brown. Made a great trade for Aaron Gordon, and they've got no bench. And I don't think that the Nuggets are the best managed team, but I don't think that they should be so afraid of the system that they don't go out and try to at least pursue another championship. And now all of a sudden we're looking at the Nuggets and you're like, man, this roster's terrible. It's like beneath Jokic, he's going to have to leave if he wants to win another title. That's incredibly, it's just like, not only you're asking the teams, like the people who run the teams, the general manager and such, to be beyond perfect. And that's just not how it works in sports.
No, and there's I think so like we could talk about this for an hour, and I've always had the same exact thought when it comes to what should be a upper middle class player getting the max, if you will. And it's just like, well, the owners could just not sign off on that deal, but you eventually have a bidding war, and that's how markets work, and that guy winds up getting the max contract, and then there winds up being a bunch of max guys and a bunch of league minimum guys and then a bunch of guys in the middle that get like the mid-level exception, and no one who actually just signs a mid-level contract because the owners and the GMs can't help themselves but have some level of restraint. And so I've had a million ideas over the year, Jerry, like literal salary slots. Like you get two high guys, 4 middle guys, and 6 low guys, or however you want to do it. Like, and everyone's just slotted. You could do it on like everyone's on the max contract now, but if you make all NBA, there's a bonus, and the league has a pool of money that comes out of the middle 5% of the whole basketball, income list, and that's where that money. Like, there's a million ways you can do it. I think the other thing about this league in particular, though, is people like following the transactions as much as they do the basketball. And the transactions have become so complicated that it's hard for people to even follow that anymore. So at some point, you're just continually like stubbing your own toe on every single step you take, and it kind of feels like we're at a breaking point here. And that's why I appreciate that you wrote the column and highlighted it, because I do think these are conversations that are happening in league circles as we figure out, as everyone tries to figure out how to build a winner, because you can, but building a sustainable one feels impossible right now, and unless they change the system, I don't think there's a whole lot you can do about that.
Yeah, and the one thing that I think when it all really is going to come to a head for most people is it's very clear, Craig, and I don't want to talk generationally, but it's very clear that the load that stars are having a harder time carrying heavier loads than ever before. Now, we can talk about like whether that the reasons for that from here to tomorrow morning, but like it's very clear, like they're breaking down more. I think it's harder for them to get through 100 games if you're talking about like making a playoff run, and so that is very clear. Like, we have evidence that it's harder for these guys to carry these loads. Yet the system is saying, you know what? Your team is going to be weaker, so you're going to have to carry a heavier load. And I think like that's part of. I think we're going to see a lot more like major injuries like in the postseason, and I think we're going to have a lot more players that we're sitting there looking at like, what's wrong with you? You haven't won a championship. We're going to have to recalibrate the way we think of star players, because I think it's going to be harder in this era for guys to get 2, 3, 4. Very few stars have gotten 4 championships. Like, I think we've gotten spoiled because we had Shaq and Kobe and Tim Duncan and LeBron and Steph and so on and so forth. But this idea that like you're a lesser legend if you don't win multiple championships, I think we're going to look back at this era and not see a lot of like the dominant players win multiple championships, even though they have the resumes that suggest that they were just as great as some of these guys who did win in June.
No doubt about it. We talked about the load part of this on the show as well. It's a great point. Jerry Brewer wrote about it in the Washington Post. The parody is here to stay, whether that's a good thing or not. Read Jerry's column, and of course, if you just are tuning in, you can rewind and hear some more of our conversation in the Odyssey app. Jerry, appreciate it as always, sir. Enjoy the rest of the playoffs. Thanks for your time.
All right, anytime, man. Take care.
That's Jerry Brewer with us here on the Hoffman Show, columnist for the Washington Post. When we get back, we preview the Eastern Conference Finals. But first, the latest from the world of women's sports, presented to you by Wawa. Chicken how you want it. At Wawa with customizable roasted and crispy chicken sandwiches. It's Hoffman Show. We're on the Team 980. We're always live as well on the free Odyssey app, streaming live on YouTube too at the Team 980. Nationals rained out tonight. Mystics play late night. In between that, well, I guess no in between because there's now no game for the Nats. Anthony, you got the Eastern Conference Finals. Pacers, Knicks, Game 1, 8 p.m. on TNT. First of all, Anthony, do you have any like real actual memories of Pacers Knicks stuff, or is it all like the highlights for you from like the early rivalry days?
Yeah, it's really a lot of highlights, and people are actually saying, "Oh, this is such a huge rivalry," and things. I'm like, they played like 9 times in the postseason, and really, there's nothing really. Nothing really amounted from the rivalry because nobody won anything. So it's just like
it was
really
a competition in the
rivalry?
90s to see who was going to get their ass kicked by Michael Jordan.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then there's 99 and 2000 where
That was
the
crazy.
Knicks made the finals in a lockout shortened season. That was the year the Spurs won. Duncan is a rookie. And then in 2000 they played again. And this time the Pacers won, and they lost in the finals. That was the first of the Shaq Kobe 3 titles. So you're correct. The Pacers have never won a title in the NBA. They might have won an ABA championship. They've never won an NBA championship. The Knicks haven't won the NBA championship since 1973. By the way, the Timberwolves have never even been to the finals. And the Thunder have not been to the finals since 2012 when they lost with Durant, Westbrook, Harden. And before that, they were the Supersonics who won in 1979. Up to you whether you want to count that one or not. The thing is, though, there's a lot of people that do remember that the physicality and there's so many iconic moments. That I think that's the other thing. They were doing like the countdown earlier today on NBA Today, and you know, the most iconic is the 8 points in 9 seconds, Reggie Miller. I think that was 94. Maybe it was 93. Gives Spike Lee the choke sign. Then you have the Larry Johnson 4-point play. I think that was 99. There's a Patrick Ewing like game winner in a game 7. So there's a lot of iconic moments in this series, in this rivalry. And they also played last year, and the Pacers went into Madison Square Garden and won a Game 7. The Knicks were super banged up at that point. But I think that you continue to have these, moments. You continue to have the matchups time over time, and there's no doubt going to be some animosity between the two. It's also kind of a great city rivalry. You have New York City versus, like, little old Indianapolis, Indiana. I think there was, like, a Knicks versus Hicks marketing situation that was happening at some point.
That is, oh my gosh.
But yeah, it's now you've got Tyrese versus Jalen Brunson, 2 of the best clutch players in the league, 2 of the best stretch bigs in the league, and Cat and Miles Turner. Like, it's a fun matchup. What's the thing that you're watching the most from the actual basketball though?
I would probably say I want to see if Cat can really, duplicate some of the performances we've seen him this season. Like, he's had a monster game. He had a 40-point game against the Pacers.
He
earlier
destroyed
this season.
Indiana this year.
So I feel as though, like, if he can, have his imprint all over the game, I think the Knicks should definitely go in here and win in 5, maybe even 6, maybe even 5. But I think the Knicks are the overall better team. Again, this Pacers team beat them in 7 last year, and they were banged up. And I think this Knicks team is much more improved. I think when you think about the trade for Cat, I think you add, somebody that can really stretch the floor and, hit timely threes. So I think from that standpoint, I think the Knicks are just a better overall team, to be honest. I'm not giving the Pacers too much, hope. And
which is
in this
exactly
series,
why they're going to win.
Exactly.
I saw on NBA Today, actually, it was the same show earlier today. Kendrick Perkins is all over the Knicks. Does that make you feel terrible about your pick?
Yeah, because sometimes I view him as a hot take artist. So
yeah, I agree.
Maybe I need to go to the Pacers.
So To me, there's actually like a bigger question about the Knicks. And on some level, this series is actually existential for this version of the Knicks. Part of why a lot of people, myself included, if I'm being honest, think the Knicks have fallen short is in years past is because they just hit a wall. That Tibbs plays these guys so many minutes that eventually it just catches up with them. And last year, this was when it caught up with them, was when they were facing the Pacers. Last year was, of course, in the second round, not the Eastern Conference Finals, so they've already survived an extra round. But Tibbs just runs his guys into the ground. And so they did have an easier series against Boston because of how the injuries happened. And, but even then, like, in that decisive Game 6, they're up 30 in the fourth quarter, and, like, Tibbs still has the starters in. And you're like, bro, what are you doing? But to me, if you can't beat this Pacers team, because they are better on paper, and I think Cat is the biggest mismatch in the series. I don't know who guards him for Indiana. Do you put Siakam on him? Like, that feels wrong. He's not big enough. There's stuff you can try to do tactically to, force. In some ways, I almost want Siakam on him to be like, if you're going to play like a perimeter player, I'm going to put a perimeter player on you. Do you put Miles Turner out there? I don't want to pull him away from the rim. Like, there's different stuff. Rick Carlisle's a brilliant coach. I think they'll probably see some zone in this series. There's a bunch of stuff. But ultimately, the Knicks are the more talented roster. Brunson is probably the best player in the series. Halliburton's unquestionably the second best player in the series if Brunson is the first. But then is it like Cat, Bridges? Like, how far till you get to, if we're saying Siakam's the next guy on Indy, is Siakam better than OG Anunoby? Like, the Knicks have the talent advantage. And so if things go down in a way where New York loses, and especially if they lose a piece or two in this series, like, Tibbs is on the hot seat, in my opinion. And I feel like we talked about this earlier in the week, but like, that's not my MO. I am not a put that guy on the hot seat guy. But like, at some point, how many times do you run headfirst into the wall? And so what the Knicks need to do in many ways in this series is just avoid the wall. Play good ball, keep playing, play hard, and then if you lose to one of the two teams in the West in the finals, like, that is a referendum on the fact that those two teams are probably better than these two teams. But if you lose to Indiana and you're the Knicks, not because they're the Pacers and you're the Knicks in Indianapolis and New York and like all these subplot storylines. The Pacers have been one of the best teams in the league since the All-Star break. The Pacers are good. But depending on how this series goes, I actually do think it is not too far to say this is on some level an existential type of series for this version of the Knicks, or at the very least for their coach, because I think the roster is excellent. And if you can keep it together under someone else and maybe get a little more out of it, that juice might be worth the squeeze. But I definitely feel like I want to pick the Pacers because I frankly like them better. But I just kind of have a weird feeling about it. My gut says Indiana for some dumb reason. And the more I think about it, the more I'm like, I can't figure out a way to explain it better because the Knicks should win the series.
Yeah, I mean, I think even if you look at the series against the Cavs, and everybody's going to say the injuries got to the Cavs, and there's some truth to it, but
they were healthy most of that series.
Yeah,
There's
like
one game when they had everybody hurt.
Yeah, they had some guys like still come back and play. And they had leads in those games, and guess what? They still squandered those leads. So I think a lot of people, including myself, are writing off the Pacers, and I think the Pacers like being the underdog in this series. They were last year when they played the Knicks, and I think this year as well, a lot of people are not giving them the chance. And again, their strength is in their numbers, and the fact that we look at Siakam and we might say he's the fourth or fifth, maybe even sixth best player in the series is sort of kind of an indictment on the Pacers to an extent. But at the same token, 6, 7, 8 also might go to the Pacers in terms of, the players, the best players in the series kind of thing. So I think, again, you just look at their strength in numbers, the fact that they have a bench.
And that's the thing, right, is if the Knicks are this team that relies on 5 or 6 guys, 7 guys, and they play a zillion minutes, and they could be exhausted because they've already played 9/10 of a zillion minutes. It has, but it works until it doesn't, until
Okay.
you run out of gas. And
Yeah.
that's my thing with the Knicks is like, if they don't run out of gas, they probably
won't.
win the series.
Yeah.
And if they run out of gas, you probably need to buy a new car, one with better fuel economy, or at least someone who knows how to drive. Like in Formula One, being able to manage your tires is really important. I know it's tires versus fuel, but like you got to get to the end of the race. And yeah, being ahead, if it's a 60-lap race, being ahead, even, they've been ahead at lap 35, lap 40, maybe this season we're at like lap 50. Doesn't matter if you DNF. And like that's kind of my thing with the Knicks. That said, purely on a basketball level, since the All-Star break, the 5th best team in the league was the Indiana Pacers. They were 20-9 post All-Star break. For reference, the Thunder were 24-4. The Celtics were 22-5. The Warriors, remember when they added Jimmy and just turned into like a juggernaut, and then obviously Steph got hurt in the playoffs, but 20-7 post All-Star break. The Cavs were 20-8. The Pacers were 20-9. The Knicks, since the All-Star break, were just 15-13. So if you look post All-Star break, who's been the better team? The answer is Indiana. And so don't sleep on the Pacers purely on a basketball level. And if the Pacers beat the Knicks at basketball, fine. Nobody gets hurt. It's not like, oh man, they look gassed. Okay, I could see that happening because the Pacers have a bunch of different dudes who just play really hard. They run at you in numbers. They all play, or like they're all bought in on this style of up tempo. The Pacers looking to get like 100 possessions plus per game. The Knicks are in the 90s. Like they want to slow it down. There is just a stylistic difference. And if the Pacers go out and impose their will and win the series, bravo. Like it's possible. It's very possible. But if the series ends in the way that so many of these unfortunately have, where there's an injury or it just looks like the Knicks are not up for the task, then that's when things get swirly in New York.
Yeah, I mean, I hope both these teams definitely face each other for strength. Like, I want to see a good series.
I do too.
Need it.
I do too. 8 o'clock tonight on TNT. They'll officially announce Shai Gilgeous-Alexander as the league's MVP before that. When we get back, we wrap up the show with Real Things Real People Said in Real Microphones. We give some predictions on that, what we think is going to happen as well. But first, we tell you what else is trending besides SGA as the MVP. It's Hoffman Show, wrapping up here on the Team 980, always live as well on the free Odyssey app, streaming live on YouTube too at the Team 980. All right, Anthony, let's make some predictions. We forgot to do this yesterday with the Western Conference Finals, so now we have a bit of a cheat in that the Thunder are up 1-0. And also, we haven't actually talked about that game at all. Let me ask you this. Does watching last night change your prediction at all?
Yeah, it does.
I actually agree with this.
Because I had the Timberwolves in 7, and I don't know if this series goes 6.
I had the Thunder in 6.
Okay.
I think it might be Thunder in 5.
Yeah. I mean,
Minnesota is so careless with the basketball.
Yeah.
And the Thunder's defense is, the stuff they do is crazy. Like, if you turn your head for 0.4 seconds, you're getting the ball stripped. And maybe there's a game where they get called for a zillion fouls and Minnesota goes to the free throw line a bunch of times and whatever. But if they can strip the ball the way they did yesterday and turn Minnesota over, like, Minnesota was in that game early and they were up and it did not feel like they were winning because they just kept turning the ball over, but they hit so many threes. If Julius Randle can hit 75% of his threes, yeah, they can win the series. But like, if he has a human series and if everyone else is just shoots at human levels, the turnovers by themselves are so overwhelming that they cannot win games in this series. And they won, Anthony. I saw this stat flash on ESPN yesterday. Teams that turn the ball over 20 or more times are like 0-11 in the playoffs, except for the fact that the T-Wolves did it 3 times against Golden State. Because Golden State couldn't score. It didn't matter. So this is a team that's already turnover prone against the best defense in the league, who's the best defense in the league because they turn you over. That's a bad matchup, bro. And boy, did it show in game 1.
Yeah, it showed for sure. Looking at it right now, they had 17 turnovers. Anthony Edwards and Julius Randle combined for 9, so that's more than half from your 2 best players. And then the fact both of them only shot the ball 13 times, that's not going to get the job done. Dante DiVincenzo, 3 for 12 from 3, 3 for 14 from the field. He cannot be your leading shot attempt taker. Naj Reid, he's just been inconsistent this entire playoffs, to be honest. So they're definitely going to need more from the others, but Anthony Edwards and Julius Randle, they got to set the tone. I think in the first half, Julius definitely set the tone. That's why they were in it, going freaking 5 or 6 from 3. Like, you should be in the game. Like,
right.
And then Shea, struggling as well. So, like, that's why I was so close. And then in the second half, I think the Thunder just did a good job taking care of the ball, moving the ball, and then relying on their defense to get out into transition, man. It looks scary, man. It looks scary.
The way they run is crazy.
It looked like they had 6 defenders on the court.
Yeah.
That's how fast they were moving.
That's how much
God.
I'm surprised. If you told me they had 32 turnovers last night, I would be like, sure. And
it seemed like they had more, though, for sure.
I feel like their defense is consistent. Minnesota might, hit a bunch of shots once, but Oklahoma City in 5. That's my prediction after watching game 1. Maybe I'm overreacting, but I think it's a bad matchup for Minnesota. Bad matchup. Yeah. All right, Eastern Conference Finals. Who you got?
I got the Knicks. in 6.
I'm going to go Knicks in 7.
Okay.
I'm going to go Knicks in 7. Jalen Brunson goes bananas in game 7, scores like 48 points and sends the Knicks to the finals.
Yo, that is going to be crazy.
The Garden would be on fire.
Yeah.
Jalen Brunson might already not have to buy anything ever in the history of his time in New York again, but if he gets into the finals, that would be.
Pop quiz, Craig.
Yeah.
When Jalen Brunson came to the New York Knicks, what did he sign for? He signed a 4-year deal for how much money?
55?
No,
it was a 4 for 100.
I think it was 110.
Maybe it was 110.
Yeah, 110.
Typically, when you do pop quizzes, Anthony, it's nice if you know the answer.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's 110.
Now
but that's a bargain of a deal for the productivity they got out of this guy.
Yeah, no kidding. 4 for 104.
104.
Was the initial deal. He's now 4 for 156 on the extension.
Good gracious.
Yeah. And he's still relative, considering like Dame is making 60, like he's underpaid.
Yeah. Very much so.
I would take his contract. Just
I would too. I would take half of his contract. I would take a quarter.
Yeah.
A tenth.
yeah, done, done. I mean, I don't even want to keep going because I think it just gets depressing as if it's not already. All right, time for real things. Let's wrap up this here radio show.
Real things.
We're not going to be sucked this year.
Real people.
5 and 11, not very good.
Said into real microphones.
You know, the culture is actually damn good.
Anthony, you just held up too many numbers.
First, all right,
just tell me what time the show ends.
I have a gripe.
You have a gripe.
So the end of the show is actually 56:30 today.
Okay.
But they just put the time in here weirdly today. I don't know.
I clearly don't know either because I have no earthly idea what's happening.
Yeah, 56:30.
All right, 56:30. All right. Tomorrow morning on the Junkies, their usual shenanigans. They had a big announcement that they had yesterday from our boss, Matt Cahill. You know him as Drab.
But I've been looking to change my life and make it better.
Right.
And I've teased the audience with this for years. Everyone knows.
By the way, it is worth saying that Frank Caliendo was in studio for this announcement.
The struggles I've been going through.
All right.
Well, it's finally happened. I've signed the paperwork. We're on board together. And in 2 days, I'm getting a hair transplant.
Yeah, let's go, baby. Can you take off the hat? Show
Like-
Oh, yeah, you deserve that.
All right, so I'm hooking up with our P1 Dr. Burka, who called in many months ago. He's from the Maine Center of Advanced Hair Restoration in Bethesda, and I'm starting the journey. Very good.
And that's when Frank realized that's the best thing that could ever happen to Matt.
So I guess tomorrow, Drabby's getting the hair transplant because that was yesterday when they did that on the show, and he said in 2 days. That's tomorrow.
That is tomorrow. So Friday we need. Well, you won't be here. I'll get in early because I
Just
want
to
to
see
see.
him?
I want to see this. I mean, I guess they'll post it to their socials.
I was gonna say the show is on television for 4 hours.
Yeah.
We're here on YouTube and we love it here, but they are on television.
Yeah, you're right.
They have very nice cameras and many of them.
Oh my! A hair transplant is.
I mean, they gotta knock you out for that, right? That's gotta hurt. Like,
I
I
don't
also just
know.
gotta feel weird. All of a sudden, be like, oh,
I mean, I could have asked LeBron what he does, or I wish I could.
you said that like you just could call up LeBron James and be like, yo, the hair stuff. So you think that he's got some help?
LeBron?
Yeah.
For sure. LeBron he had a ball spot, and then all of a sudden he didn't have a ball spot. Like there's something he's doing, taking, or he knows some people. I'm pretty sure he does know some people.
The man has got $1 billion and he lives in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
I can't stand when celebrities get bad work. Like, you're already screwing up everybody, making us think that, oh, no, and it's like, when it's obvious, like, you got so much money. How'd you get bad work done?
Exactly.
Ugh. Anyway, good luck, Drab. See you tomorrow on The Hoffman Show.